the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, hang with us tonight. We're going to actually get two meetings out of the way. The first meeting that is open now is the Boswell meeting. We need to pay a bill. Make note, all city council members are present. We're missing our
Two county board members,
two board members there,
Dorn and Jurgens.
Dorn and Jurgens. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by Boswell and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a Boswell member so requests. Item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Item C, receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. Item D, approval of minutes of regular meeting on April 1st, 2024, as on file with the city clerk's office. Item E, approval of change order number 1, increase in the amount of $3,463.60, and the final pay request for the amount of $216,250 to Pavers Incorporated for the Southwest 32nd Road Asphalt Construction 2024 project. Mr. McLean.
I move the items listed under the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Anyone want anything pulled off?
Just to note, the item on there, item E, we approved that bill here at that contract the last time this board met. But we did have the change order, which ended up being an increase of about $3,400. That's why we brought it back to have another Boswell meeting before you.
And it's done, right?
It's done. The road's done. Yes. Looks nice.
Okay, gentlemen, your vote, please. And that passes 8-0.
Well, you get a vote this time.
Oh, that's right. All right.
We're 9.
9. I vote yes. There's no public hearings, resolutions, or ordinances. Anyone here on the public forum? Seeing none, there's no discussions. Mr. McLean, let's go into adjournment.
I move the meeting be adjourned at 7:02 p.m.
Your vote, please. All right. Motion passes 8-0. And now we'll move on to the city council meeting. Note all city council members are present. The Open Meetings Act is posted on the wall over there and is accessible to the public. The next item is the consent agenda, and bear with me because it's fairly long tonight. Approve agenda as submitted. Receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. Item D, approval of minutes of the regular meeting on July 15th as on file with the city clerk's office. Item E, approval of the treasurer report of claims in the amount of $242,960.64. Item F, approval of Boswell report of claims in the amount of $245,596.20. Approval of write-off of Mars bad debts. H, resolution number 7353, granting permission for the Beatrice Humane Society to hold a doggy swim evening fundraiser at the Big Blue Water Park on August 13th, 2024. Item I, resolution number 7354, appointing Thomas Brandley to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Item J, resolution number 7355, exiting the agreement with Panhandle EMS Education LLC and any and all other documents necessary for the city through its fire department to partner with Panhandle EMS Education LLC to provide clinical educational services for students. Item K, resolution number 7356, approving the construction contract award for project 13 in the amount of $24,800. Project number 14 in the amount of $24,720. Project 20 in the amount of $20,705. Project 24 in the amount of $24,999. And Project 25 in the amount of $24,295. All part of the CDBG Owner-Occupied Housing Rehab Project number 21-HO-36035. L, resolution number 7357, entering into the hangar lease with the Avionics Place LLC for the purpose of leasing hangar D2, D5, and D10, and the avionics shop located in the Beatrice Municipal Airport, and executing the limited waiver of contract provisions for the hangar lease between the city and the Avionics Place LLC. Item M, resolution number 7358, entering into a hangar lease with Tim Lindstrom, doing business as Capital Auto Sales, for the purpose of leasing hangar A3 and E6 located at the Beatrice Municipal Airport. Item N, resolution number 7359, entering into a hangar lease with Alan Mimic for the purpose of leasing hangar A5 and D1 located at the Beatrice Municipal Airport. Resolution number 7360, entered into a hangar lease with Cameron Walther for the purpose of leasing the hangar A6 located at the Beatrice Municipal Airport. Item P, resolution number 7361, executing the sponsorship agreement with Coke Nitrogen for Hannibal Park. Item Q, resolution number 7362, educating the municipal annual certification of program compliance form for the Nebraska Board of Public Roads classifications and standards. Item R, resolution number 7363, executing any and all documents between the city and the Federal Emergency Management Agency and any other necessary parties to accept the FY 2023 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Fund, Grant EMW-203-FG-07301. Item S, resolution number 7364, granting Beatrice Wrestling Club Incorporated and their designees permission to serve alcoholic beverages and to sell or offer for sale a peddle of goods, wares, and merchandise upon the city property located at the Tabernacle in Chautauqua Park on Saturday, August 17th, 2024, from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. as part of their cornhole tournament. Item T, approval of special designated license for the Beatrice Wrestling Club Incorporated for a cornhole tournament on August 17th, 2024, from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the Tabernacle in Chautauqua Park. Anybody want anything pulled off? Okay, we'll start.
G.
G.
Same one.
Okay. Ed? Anything? Okay. All right, everything but G.
I move the items listed on the consent agenda, with the exception of item G, be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Your vote, please. That passes 8-0.
I move that item G, listed on the consent agenda, be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Going through this, I'm just wondering with everybody that was listed here, you know, are these people that are businesses that are no longer in business with us? And there's a lot of individual names here. Are they located within the city or are they outside the city? And I guess the question would be then, you know, if they are within the city and they still own the property or whatever like this, you know, what are we doing about the electricity, the sewer, and the water?
So, answer a couple of your questions there. Some of these are businesses that are no longer in business,
Okay.
and so they're just bankrupt, if you will. So we work through the court system, see if we can get anything. Some of them are individuals. Those individuals that are inside the city limits, your current city code allows you then to go turn off electricity if they're not current on their garbage bills. So you'll go to that path as well. So it may be that you've turned off their water, their electricity, and now you're turning off their sanitation service as well. And so it may just simply be forwarding that one on, like we do all the BPW bad debts at that time. Some of these may be outside the city limits, in which case you don't have the option of turning off their utilities, and so you would have to go through the court system to try to recover any costs that are out there.
Okay, so like the ones that are in the city, then they're not paying their electric bills and things like that, or how do they separate?
You can't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, so they haven't been paying any of their bills.
That's a possibility. I can't speak on certainty on any of these individuals myself.
But I was just saying, because it's all one, you know.
Yeah, you get one bill.
Right.
Yes, you can't choose to pay the $20 electric bill and the $10 water bill and
That's what I
not
was
pay your
wondering,
garbage
yeah.
bill. Correct.
That's what I was trying to figure out there, you
Yep.
know, how, you know, that's why I was wondering if these people were within the city and what was done with it there.
So on these, I don't know, whatever, 12, 14, whatever it is there, have we picked up the waste containers?
Usually by the time, so we've written out a procedure on this one. Yes, short answer is yes. Their trash container gets picked up. And then what happens is we follow back up with code or community development to make sure that they don't have an ongoing nuisance there, or the health department, if it's a restaurant or something of that would need to make sure they have that type of service. But yes, we do then follow up with those other procedures.
Okay.
Just a quick, I haven't seen this before. How often do we do this? Is this
Like
like,
the first time that we've done it.
aha? that's
So
why
we've
I
been
haven't seen
operating
it.
now for 3 years.
Okay.
It's the first time we've
I
had it.
presume we do everything we can to collect the money, and then we give it to collection associates and get 50% or whatever we can get out of it,
Correct.
right? Yep.
So at the top of the sheet, we've got balance, the PEN is pending,
Probably pending
or
penalties.
penalty? Okay.
Penalty, probably, yeah.
Then CA's collection associates, I'm assuming.
Oh, CA would be that, or CA is probably,
Collection Associates, is that the money they're going after?
okay.
Okay.
Any other discussion? If not, your vote, please. That passes 8-0. We have a public hearing tonight. Public hearing is for the purpose of considering adoption of plan modification VV to the redevelopment plan for redevelopment area number 2, Hoppy redevelopment project. So the public hearing is now open.
All right, so this might be the most anticipated TIF project we've had for quite some time. This is the Paddock Kensington. Obviously, everybody knows located downtown. We're working with Hoppy Development to redo or redevelop that particular property. So this is their TIF application. It's gone through planning and zoning. It's gone through the CRA twice already. Everything is passed, been approved, no issues there. What we're looking at is an estimated value upon completion of about $5 million by the county assessor. And when they get done, I think they're looking at 34 units. That number may fluctuate just a little bit, but right now about 34 living units and then some commercial space on the first floor. Other than that, I think everybody's fairly familiar with this particular project, but if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Time?
Timeframe, I believe they have submitted their application for historic tax credits. They should find those out yet this year. Last time I talked to them, they were hoping to start construction, I believe, in early part of 2025.
And the last we heard, when they thought they'd have that completed, if they did that, was it late 26?
Probably in 26 by the time they're all done.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if they'll
Right.
open up floor 1 and then floor 2, or that
I was
part.
thinking at the last Engage meeting, that's what they thought,
Yeah.
maybe the end of 26. Yep.
So we have regulations on apartments that require parking spaces?
So Central Business District,
Yeah?
there are no off-street parking requirements.
Okay. I had somebody ask. I didn't have an answer. Thought I'd ask tonight.
So they are working with some of the local parking lots around there for some partnerships
Okay.
to allow them to be able to use them. I know beforehand it was an assisted living facility, right? Obviously, the residents didn't necessarily have cars, but the employees did.
And visitors.
And they all park someplace. But yes, that is something they are keenly aware of and are working to find solutions.
And the same guy maybe talked to me too, but I told him to think that we would do this project without considering parking is crazy. We've talked to a lot of people on a lot of different things, so
Well, I just figured it was far enough down the road that
that's right.
parking had been considered, and I'd have a quality answer for him, but I don't, so I'm okay with that.
Anybody from the public? Seeing none, Mr. McLean, let's close the public hearing.
I move the public hearing be closed at 7:13 PM.
Second.
Your vote, please. Passes 8-0. Moving on to resolutions. Resolution number 7365, adopting plan modification VV to the redevelopment plan for redevelopment area number 2, the Hoppy redevelopment project.
I move the resolution number 7365 be passed and adopted.
Second.
This would be the agreement for the item we just had a public hearing on.
Any more discussion needed, gentlemen? If not, your vote, please. That passes 8-0. Resolution number 7366, adopting the master plan developed by JEO Consulting Group Incorporated for the Lincoln Elementary School site.
I move the resolution number 7366 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So we've had a public meeting on this particular design here for Lincoln School. I know we've talked about it up here as the council a couple of times. This kind of seems to be the design everybody's kind of landed on for Lincoln School site. And so we're just looking for you to adopt this particular master plan. Again, I think one of the questions that I've been asked is this thing set in stone? No, as they go in there, start doing design work, right, there may be some nuances that change. If it's a significant change, we'll bring it back to this body and have that discussion. But if it simply means that that lot on the northeast corner goes from being 80 feet wide to 70 feet wide or something else, yeah, that change may occur on here, but as a general concept, this is the way that particular site will get built out.
Toby.
Yes?
On the plan, it shows a roundabout. We've decided to go with a four-way stop there. instead.
That roundabout is not part of the Lincoln School site development. That roundabout is there to show you how it would fit in, and we will ensure that when those lots are platted, that they're platted such that the roundabout can fit in there. But that is a separate project to be handled if you guys so decide at a different time.
Could you also explain, I've received a couple phone calls of what we're doing with the equipment at the old schools, or what the school is doing with the equipment, the playground equipment. I've got a couple emails, a couple phone calls. That's not our stuff, and that we have no control over what is being done with it.
Correct. As of right now, the school owns all those sites. We have no control over them. My last communication with the school was that they are working towards having an auction, likely at all the different school sites. Is something they're looking at doing to help alleviate themselves of desk and everything else like that. When they're done and they turn them over to us, which might be in about a month or so, we'll take inventory of what's left. And at that point, we'll make a determination of what we're going to do with that remaining property, whether that is simply landfill some of it, if it's trying to resell or repurpose some of it. But right now, you're correct. We have no say or control over what's being done at those school sites.
Is it correct to say that some of that is not ADA compliant now anyway?
Some of
A lot of it.
Some of the playgrounds, correct. Yes, from what we understand ADA compliance to be, and what our insurance company understands ADA compliance to be, they would not meet those requirements.
I did notice they left a big mess over at Cedar School. Looks pretty ugly the way they left it.
Yeah, it's went downhill fast.
Any other discussion from the public? If not, your vote, please. That passes 8-0. Resolution number 7367, adopting the master plan developed by JO Consulting Group Incorporated for the Paddock Lane Elementary School site.
I move the resolution number 7367 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Same thing, just different location. This is Paddock. As you see the picture there, again, just a general concept or idea. If as they get into the engineering and things decide to change, we'll obviously come back to you if there's significant changes. But we're looking at those two cul-de-sacs and then some townhouses or duplexes up there in the upper right-hand corner, and then your stormwater detention basin on the bottom right-hand corner. Ted, you had asked about the connection sidewalks. I believe they're in this picture.
They are in this picture. They weren't in Lincoln School. That was my issue. That was my question earlier, so thank you.
Yep. So we made sure we got those updated for you.
Yeah, and I had a couple of people, two different people, ask me if the cul-de-sacs that were in here are set in stone, and I said this is, because once we talked about them going this way, and once we had talked about them going east, one's east and west, one's north and south, and I said it's a plan.
Right.
So that I made that phone call back today. I said it is a plan.
Okay.
It's not set in stone. So there you go.
Any other discussion needed? Taylor?
Really just two thoughts more than anything else. I wasn't here, we were in Minnesota when we talked about this before, and that yellow space that's up there is designated as duplexes. I talked to Tobias and Bob about this. I would like before we finalize that at some point in time, to have us at least consider whether any of those should be condos or not. We have a lot of duplexes in town. We only have 3 sets of condos, and at least the ones we live in, the last one took 1 day to sell, okay? So, and you gain some things with condos you don't have with duplexes. There's a lot less problems with them. You do have some more technical things to set it up, but after that, they pretty much take care of themselves. So I don't know if it's right or not. I just want to put it out there so you think about it. That's number one. Number two, someplace along here, we need to have a discussion about, are we going to bid any of this to any kind of developers or not? And I don't know when that takes place, but I just don't want us to go too damn far that we don't have that discussion, because I know there's a few of us who would like to at least have that discussion. Those 2 comments.
Okay. Anything else from the public? Your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. Resolution number 7368, executing an agreement for professional services retaining JEO to provide engineering and design services for the development of the Paddock Lane Elementary and the Lincoln Elementary School sites into residential developments.
I move the resolution number 7368 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So now that you've approved the master plan, the next step in the process is to actually start design work on these particular sites. And so what we brought before you is a contract with JEO, who put together the master plan to have them help us with the next phase of this. They'll look at traffic analysis, they'll help us with the plat itself, putting together the paving design and bid specs. They'll design the water system, the sanitary sewer, the storm sewer. They'll do the SWIP, the Stormwater Prevention Pollution Plan, and they'll help us with the bidding of those different utility installations is what they will look to do in this package. You'll see that their contract is for $93,000 at Lincoln and $103,000 at Paddock. Those contracts are not to exceed contracts, so they'll bill us for the time and material they use to actually do the work, not to exceed those numbers. And then they're looking to be completed by the end of February of 2025. You'll look to bid out the paving, the sewer, and the storm sewer work to outside companies. Those are not things that we do internally. The water we would probably do internally with our own guys, and the electricity we obviously do internally with our own guys.
I'm sorry. Did we leave on the agenda that we're going to talk about how to pay for this stuff? The $825,000 that's left?
That's coming up in a couple
Is
of
that still coming up here?
That's, that's not part of this, no.
No, I wanted to make sure.
Yep.
But as long as we're talking about the school sites and we jump back here, they got the speed limits, and I was gonna do it when Rich jumped in about the roundabout. They got the speed limit signs changed for Lincoln and for 19th. They haven't taken down the street light. Do we have a date, time, or?
They had to have it turned off today
Okay.
to go to the stop signs. So I believe, from talking to Pat, what he had to do is have it bagged and turned off, and then when his guys had time, they'll go back and actually physically take it down.
Okay, because they were running when I went through them this morning,
So,
this afternoon. Okay. Was it? Lights were still running. I thought they were too.
well, I'll check with them because,
Yep.
today was the day.
Very soon.
Supposed to be.
Very soon, you're
Yes.
saying. Okay.
Looked like a green light when I went through.
Any other discussion that's pertaining to the professional services?
Sorry about that, Bob.
That's okay.
All right.
Just thought I'd just bring it back around, that's all.
I know.
All right, gentlemen, your vote, please. That passes 8-0. Speaking of school sites and changes, resolution number 7369, changing the speed limit on Lincoln Street from the intersection of 18th Street to 22nd Street from 25 to 35 miles an hour.
I move the resolution number 7369 be passed and adopted.
Second.
All right, so last meeting, we brought to you a whole bunch of different parking and vehicle changes around the school sites, and quite honestly, we missed this one. I noticed it when I was driving out to Hannibal one day, and I was driving down Lincoln Street, and I went, wait a minute, there's a 25 mile per hour sign. And I drove past it, came back around, and went, here's one over here too. And so, yes, we missed one on Lincoln Street between 18th and 22nd. The speed limit's 25 miles per hour. Our recommendation is that you raise it up to 35 miles per hour because the rest of Lincoln Street is 35 east side and west side. And it's just you'd have this 4-block section in here, which obviously was there for the school at that time. And so the traffic committees that we was recommending that we increase the speed limit there as well. And this would be effective immediately, so I can't say that's tomorrow, but we'll check on that as soon as we check on that light as well, so.
Any discussion needed? If not, your vote, please. Oh, go ahead.
That's going to go up past 35 mile an hour up past the new school, right? The new elementary school.
Yes.
Don't you think that's kind of fast for turns in the line? You're going to have so much traffic through there.
But you got to remember, at the new school site, you're going to have a center turn lane, you're going to have right turn lanes, and so you have all that built in there to allow for the traffic that wants to turn to get out of oncoming traffic. And then also that's why you don't have sidewalks next to it, so that you get the kids away from any kids that are walking to school, only cross at one point, and that's where the trail is at.
don't know.
Turn like that.
And I'm just, it's just bothered me ever since they put the school in there, because at 3 o'clock, you're gonna get school out. You got BSDC coming out of there, and I know how they come out of there, because I've seen them for 21 years. And you got the school coming, the high school kids coming down through there. It just bothers me, I'm sorry.
Any other discussion? Okay, your vote, please. And that passes 7-1. Resolution number 7370, designating an area surrounding the new elementary school near 33rd and Lincoln as a school zone.
I move the resolution number 7370 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Again, so last meeting we had, we de-designated certain areas as school zones. So this time we're going to designate a new area, and that's around the new school site. As you'll see kind of on the map that we had attached there, we picked the location where the school is at. If you're asking yourself, well, I know there's certain rules out there as far as if you're selling drugs or alcohol or tobacco, that kind of stuff. Those rules have nothing to do with this school zone. Those are all state or federal rules, and those deal with the property lines or boundaries of the school site, and so they will not be impacted by this. But this will help us know where to put the school signs and let people know that there's kids around and to watch for traffic and those types of things. And so
So is there speed limits within a school zone?
at this time, there are not, but it's something we can certainly look at doing if we wish to come back and say, hey, in the school zone, we want you to slow down to 25.
It might be something to look at.
Okay, other discussion? And Rich, this might help put you a little bit at ease when they get everything marked up there.
Yeah, well, that was my whole point,
Right.
being up around
Yep.
that school.
Yep, we just didn't get far enough down the agenda.
Okay.
All right,
Crossing guard.
all right, your vote, please. And that passes 8-0.
Gary said he'd volunteer to be a crossing guard.
We need something.
Okay, resolution number 7371, prohibiting parking along both sides of Scott Street between 19th Street and Highway 136, AKA Court Street.
I move the resolution number 7371 be passed and adopted.
Second.
All right, so at the last meeting, we had a discussion about a new housing development at about 25th and Scott Street. There was some conversation about parking occurring on Scott Street itself. And so the traffic committee looked at this, heard from several of the council members, and we are recommending that we prohibit parking on Scott Street from 19th, which is where the YMCA is at, out to Highway 136, would be just past the entrance to the high school if you come in through that back way, if you will. And this, again, would be effective immediately, so it would just be a matter of time for the guys to go out there and put the no parking signs up along that route.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea that I think there was some enough concerns, and I think if you look at that street, there's not a lot of people, if any, that park there. So if we're gonna do it, this is the time to do it, so it doesn't cause any heartburn. Gentlemen, your vote, please. That passes 8-0. H, resolution number 7372, executing a subordination agreement with Nixon Restaurant and Property Incorporated and Sam Nixon and First National Bank of Omaha to subordinate the security interests of the city to the superior indebtedness of the First National Bank of Omaha.
I move the resolution number 7372 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So a couple months ago, we loaned some money to Sam Nixon, for him to rebuild or redevelop the lot there at 6th and Monroe Street. If you guys have seen, he's putting his Jimmy John's restaurant up there. He has gone and secured permanent financing through his bank, and so his bank is now asking us to subordinate or to give up our first position so that they can have first position and we would take a second position. That's what they're asking us to do. We loaned him $50,000. Through the terms of the agreement, he should repay us somewhere about $35,000, right? There's some forgiven if he meets certain criteria in there. They're asking us the bank is asking us to subordinate. You saw the appraisals in there, it's about $1.6 million. The bank wants to take a first position on up to about $1.1 million. So if the appraisal's correct, it should leave about $500,000 of excess funds in there, and we're owed $50,000. Now, there's always a possibility that the appraisal may not be correct, right? I mean, it's just an appraisal, and at which point you then may be more exposed by subordinating than you are today. But this is very typical of what we've done with other loans as we've subordinated.
Any discussion needed?
One just quick comment. I'm sure you talked to Sam way more than I do, but that thing wasn't even supposed to start when we originally worked on it until next January, so they've cranked it up pretty good. Looks like a pretty good change to that corner to me.
And I think one of the things to note again that Tobias said is we've done this before. This is not anything new for anyone else, so. Your vote, please. That passes 8-0. Okay, on to ordinances.
No. You
I
can't
forgot.
skip the most important resolution.
I know.
tonight.
I even circled it. All right. Resolution number 7373, executing amendment number 1 to the agreement for professional services between the city and JEO Consulting Group Incorporated dated May 15, 2023 to add additional engineering services for the preliminary and final design for the reconstruction of Lincoln Street from 25th Street to 27th Street.
I move the resolution number 7373 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Okay, so when we put the budget together, right, we budgeted for a large street project about $1.1 million. We've reallocated $275,000 to the CCCFF grant, and that is for some streetscape beautification in the downtown area. So that puts you about $825,000 left. We've talked at a previous meeting, and we threw out about 3 options for you to start to mull over and see which ones you liked. Those were, do we just use the $800,000 to help pay for 33rd and Lincoln Street and get that done? Option 2, do you come back and do Lincoln Street 25th to 27th? That's that last section onto Lincoln Street that has no curb and gutter, no sidewalks, and it's kind of that last, it's a country road kind of feel to that street that's out there. Or do you do number 3, which would be to go back to Lincoln and Paddock school sites that we just talked about redeveloping and pay to put in the streets at those 2 particular sites? So those are kind of the 3 options we threw out there. An effort to kind of get it off at dead center and get it moving one way or another. We brought before you a contract with JEO. That way you can either vote it up, you can vote it down, you can vote to postpone it, but at least this way we get some movement on it. The reason it's a change order is because you have them under contract at 33rd and Lincoln Street, and rather than signing a whole new contract, we just simply change order and fall under that particular contract and follow those same guidelines there. JEO's contract is for $106,482, and they think they can have the road design done by January 10th of 2025. So then you would look to bid in the winter and start construction spring, summer. Obviously, we'd work with the school again, right? Because I want to close the road down as few times as possible on the way out to the new school site. Would you get the same construction company? You may not. The current construction company is out there. If they meet their schedule, their deadlines that they've set themselves, they'll be done and off-site before we'd get to there. However, Mother Nature rears her ugly head and slows everything down. They may still be there and may be interested in just picking this up. It's hard to say. This would be a different paving project than what you currently have at 33rd and Lincoln, right? 33rd and Lincoln have a big open area. They put big machines on there and pour lots of road at one time. This section would be closer to 13th Street, where you got a lot of little smaller pours that you got to kind of move around to make sure that people still have access to homes and different places. So with that, open it up for discussion or questions.
Gary?
Between the 3 projects, we will decide between, some of the other 2 probably will be bonded anyway, right?
No. All right, so let's walk through these. Let's assume that you pick project 1, okay? You put the money towards 33rd and Lincoln Street. What happens with projects 2 and 3? Project 2 being Lincoln Street, to be honest, you probably don't do it until you get that property on the south side of Lincoln Street to develop, because then there might be some TIF revenue there that could help pay for it. You might be able to do something through Hannibal View with some TIF revenue from there. You might be able to get that street done, but that's going to probably be the next time you'd have the funding available. The school sites, You would probably look to issue highway allocation bonds to get those built, is probably what you'd look to do. I've talked to bond counsel on that already. That would qualify. And then you would use the sale of the lots to help pay back that bond as you would go forward on that one.
So if we choose something besides the school sites to do first, how long would it take to get the school projects going so we could move that along too?
So if you picked option 1 or 2, right? So 33rd and Lincoln or Lincoln Street itself, we would still look to move forward with a paddock on Lincoln Streets, those school sites, this upcoming spring.
And we wouldn't suffer from any delays of any kind, probably.
I don't anticipate it. No, you just retain JEO to do the design work. We've got to get through, obviously, demolition of those sites. You've got to get through some of, design work, those kind of things. But you should be in place where you're ready to bid out those projects next spring, for spring, summer construction, either with cash or with bond issuance and TIF money.
Yeah, kind of like, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike. I'll go back to
Not only as the councilman from that ward, but as an individual that drives that street on a pretty regular basis. Basically, 21st to 27th is a section in there that's milled and overlaid. It is my humble opinion that the majority of the traffic that's going to go to the new elementary is going to come down Lincoln Street. It all depends upon how easy it is for parents to get their kids in and out of there, and they can get in and out of there, but I think the design is definitely beneficial for that. If we do 27th to 25th, or 25th to 27th, however you're looking at it, that only leaves 21st to 23rd that would need to be at some time improved. I just think that the best use of the money that's available right now will be the 25th to 27th. Get it in, get it done. That's going to take a huge amount of traffic with buses and everything that comes in there. Let's just work our way through with that. I have a tendency to agree with Terry on a couple things. We're talking about what we want to do with the school sites and how we want to go ahead and get those going. There is other discussion and things that need to take place, possibly with a developer before that happens too. So, just my opinion, and I think that's where the money needs to be put.
Mike?
Yeah, I just had the same concerns Gary did a little bit there, getting the school properties off center so development starts, because housing is such a good need. But if you feel comfortable that we can develop the streets and sell and do that way to finance it, then the first project's probably the best. But just want to be able to get those school projects moving for housing.
Rich?
Now, if we do these, the Lincoln Street like Dave wants done, that includes the sidewalks that'll run down through there too?
So the preliminary estimate that we have for Lincoln Street, 25th to 27th,
921.
$921,550, and in that includes 4-inch thick concrete sidewalks for 7,200 feet. So yes, includes sidewalks.
It's probably gonna have a bunch of kids walking up and down that road too, Dave, like you said.
From the way it sounds, I think I'd be willing to compromise with Dave and work on that project. It sounds like we can do more than one thing at one time, so I wouldn't object to that.
Sorry?
Again, just maybe more conceptually than anything else, but I have a hard time picking any one of these three because I think all three of them need to be done, all right? I mean, they just do. So I would rather we looked at how to do all three of them rather than trying to split up the council or something on different decisions and try and prioritize whether we want to protect kids by putting the street out there, whether we want to get the lots done up north faster. And I just don't know why we can't. I asked Tobias what the 33rd would cost, 33rd and Lincoln's cost, and that was like $930,000, and Lincoln was $921, and then the two school sites, the paving was $1.1 million, so that's like $2.9 million. We got $825,000, so that leaves about $2.1 million left to do all three of those projects. I just don't know why we can't go ahead and work a bond issue out. I don't care whether it's just paving, I don't care whether we do a combined utility bond issue or whatever, but this is a very small amount of money that we couldn't do all three of those projects. And if we go ahead and do it, then we get those lots around the schools maybe done a little bit faster, get them on the tax rolls a little bit faster, and we lock in costs. I don't think costs are going to get any cheaper by us waiting any longer to do those. So I don't know why we can't try to consider. I would like us to at least consider that or look into the feasibility
Well,
of it.
we actually are, because option one is going to happen, which is 33rd and Lincoln. So we're not putting the money toward that because we've already figured out how to finance that. Then we can use the highway allocation bonds for Paddock and for Lincoln.
Do we need to use highway allocation bonds to back those bonds up?
Yes.
We can't use the property
No.
and pay an extra 0.5% and sell those bonds.
Not as I've talked to the bond council.
We've done it all over town.
But at the end of the day, we're going to get all three done. I mean,
What I'm saying is, why not do them?
well,
If you choose option 2 to pay for Lincoln Street 25th to 27th, then you will do all 3 projects
yes,
next year.
correct. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. We're going to
Okay.
do all three anyway.
Maybe I'm the only one missing it then.
Okay,
Okay, do it slow for this old guy for me.
Okay.
all right.
All right. So option 1, right,
Yep.
33rd Lincoln Street.
Yep.
Right, it's being paved, like they're paving the street out there already. We're short cash on that one.
Right.
We had talked about borrowing money from the utilities.
Yep.
It's already in their budgets. Okay?
Still taking money from utility.
So
right?
that's an option, right? Or you could pay for that with the cash you have in the street department
Right.
and take care of it. Option 2 is the Lincoln 25th and 27th. If you pay for that, if you use this cash for that project, we'll still borrow the money from the other utilities for option 1, and we'll bond option 3. So they all get done. If you choose option 3, then you're going to use the cash on the school sites, still going to borrow the money from utilities for option 1, and option 2 then will get delayed until we find some other funding source.
Good. And I'm just like asking for information more than anything else, because I want all of them done. I just do. But the question I have is, if we take whatever it is, $1.1 million out of the street department budget, right, until the property sells, then that's $1.1 million that we could have in a bond issue, that we could spread out over length of time, lock in the price today, go ahead and develop that right away, and still have $1.1 million in their budget to be able to use for the street department projects that we already approved for next year.
Because the $1.1 million the street department has in their budget, you're going to spend to redo Lincoln Street. They then do not have the cash to do Paddock and Lincoln. Instead, they will turn around and borrow that money through a bond issuance. So you'll lock in the price, spread the payments out over several years. We'll figure out how many based upon what type the number comes in at.
I think I caught it right there.
But
Okay.
at the end of the day, we're probably going to save money by doing it this way.
Yeah, I just want to get them going as fast as we can and lock in the price as fast as we can.
I'm going to throw a wrench in it just a little bit. I agree with Terry, and I understand that, and I understand what he was saying. I'm not a big fan of robbing from all the different utilities. It, wasn't a huge fan when we were trying to build all that funding. There's nobody telling me how long it's going to take to put that money back. Every time I've tried to spend that money, I got a lot of blowback from management and the rest of you guys, and said, "Oh, we got to keep that in there." But now it is so. But I want to throw a little more of a wrench into it too. I'd like to see us do part of. I agree with David. If we're only going to do one, I want to do that piece, and I agree with that. But the wrench I want to put in is that before the school was going out there, we were going to do Lincoln Street from 4th Street to 19th. And when we knew we couldn't do that, the conversation went back to, well, we can do some of the things along that street, like fix the intersection at 13th and fix the intersection at 12th. And we could also take the bond part of this money, as Terry suggested, and make the fix at 19th and Lincoln and put the roundabout in there and get it all done at one time. Don't have to rob Peter to pay Paul. Don't have to have all the nuts, all the moving parts. A $2 million bond or a $2.5 million bond, we would absorb without moving any of it. I would just like to have that be part of the conversation as well. I understand that you're going to get it all done, but I'd like to see us spend a little bit more money and get more of it done.
Now we got a real mess.
Well,
No, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Well, you know.
well, we've been talking about Lincoln Street from for 5 years. And it's when the school district decided to build the school, which turned out lovely, our priorities changed to suit their priorities. I think this is an opportunity, with my suggestion is, we have an opportunity to get some of our priorities put back into place. Because if not, when?
So, first thing you have to look at, and we can explore those options. One thing you have to keep in mind is if you issue the bond, right? Those are going to suck value allocation bonds from future years, which means you don't do future street projects, which today are mill and overlays and things like that, which keep your roads so they're drivable. So we have to weigh that one out. The second thing I would tell you is that we're working on a Safe Streets for All grant right now, right? We're working on that. Plan's coming out fairly soon. Yeah. The next phase of that is for implementation. So we will go back and apply for funding to implement safety procedures, which will include several of those spots that you mentioned.
That sounds like 4 years to me, at a minimum.
That's fast for government, man.
I'm not arguing that.
But so there are some other grant opportunities where you're trying to get those lined up so that they then may be able to meet some of those requirements and get funded.
I just think if we don't have to make the decision on this tonight, I'd like to have an opportunity for the whole council to discuss Terry's proposal and the other wrench that I threw in.
Well, the only other thing you have to keep in mind is now we're talking about budgeted money.
Yeah?
And what's the best use of that budgeted money?
Yeah.
And the other discussions we can certainly have, but at least it does get 25th to 27th Street done. That's just another way that I look at it.
Yeah.
But again,
Please ask about T, whether or not you actually have to. I know bond counsel is going to want to tie up everything they can tie up and get all the collateral they can get, but we should have a lot of bonds in this community without having highway allocation as a back that just use real estate.
Yeah.
We did, almost every subdivision in this community was done that way. So maybe it's way different now, and may very well be. I'm not questioning it at all if that's what they told you, but at least we have to pay an extra 0.5% and keep highway allocation out of it. We should do it.
Yep. I'll ask the question.
Yep.
and
We've only got one bond issue on the books right now, don't we? And that's fire hall.
You have, on the city side of things, you may know this, Terry, I think you got the information the other day. But you have,
No, I'm not, go ahead and do that.
off the top of my head, on the city side of things, yes, you have the fire station, which is sales tax. On the sanitation has their bond issuance. On the utility side of things, there's no bond issuance out there. There is the SRF loans for the water department. And Boswell has, I think it might be done. They have one bond issuance I think is paid off this year. I think that's it, right? I don't think there's
Yeah, I'm not going to, you did a great job. I mean, what I was asking Hannah was just, where were we a year ago, where we are now? And it was like $11 million a year ago. It's $9 million now, but we got a hell of a lot of stuff coming up too that are going to be, we're going to have bond issues tied up with, but we don't, still, I'm not I can't in any way, shape or form with bond counsel here, but we are in very, very good financial condition in our community here with our city. We really are. Thanks to Bob and to Tobias here, we are.
so, you know, and again, at the end of the day, we'll go ahead and vote, and whatever, I mean, we'll just move forward on based on where the vote goes. So, any more discussion needed, wanted?
Both of those things.
What's that?
Both of those things. More discussion needed, more discussion wanted. But I'm still ready to vote.
All right. Well then, any discussion from the public? Don't want to leave anybody out. All right, then gentlemen, your vote, please.
So this would be for the contract to retain JEO to design Lincoln Street 25th to 27th.
Yep. And that passes 8-0. And duly noted the other side of that conversation.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Now we can move on to ordinances. Ordinance vacating Lot 6, Crest Out addition to the city of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska.
I move the said ordinance be given number 24-25. The title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and the said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
A motion to suspend the rules is not debatable, so your vote, please. and that passes 8-0. Ordinance number 24-25 by number only the first time, 24-25 the second time, and 24-25 the third and final time.
I move that ordinance number 24-25 be passed and approved.
Second.
So these two new ordinances go together. They both deal with the property at 25th and Scott Street that we've talked about. At the last meeting, we talked about this meeting, some new housing development. So the first one goes through and vacates the existing Lot 6 that's out there. That makes up the one big giant parcel. And the next ordinance come back in and replats that particular parcel into 7 lots. So that's where each of the different buildings will sit for the new housing development that's proposed out there and that you approved TIF for at the last meeting.
Discussion needed from the public. If not, your vote, please. That passes 8-0. We'll move on to ordinance approving the plat of Crest 1, addition to the city of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska.
I move that said ordinance be given number 24-26. The title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and the said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
A motion to suspend the rules is not debatable. That passes 8-0. Ordinance number 24-26 by number only the first time, 24-26 the second time, and 24-26 the third and final time.
I move that ordinance number 24-26 be passed and approved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, your vote, please. That ordinance number 24-26 passes 8-0. Moving on to the public forum. Anyone here for the public forum? Seeing none. We have 2 reports tonight during the discussion. First one, Main Street Quarterly Report.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
My first 2 quarters here, I felt were fairly busy, and I'm going to tell you this third quarter was much busier. So I'm going to try and get through all of this. I'm going to go through the things you asked me to report on, and then I'll tack on some extras at the end. Downtown property strategy, we continue to work alongside the city and Engage to move the Paddock Kensington project forward. And we are working with the city and the Downtown Revitalization Committee to move forward on the new round of DED facade improvement grants. Entrepreneurship development and retention strategy, we had some of our new businesses open downtown during the third quarter, including the Salty Dog Bakery, Broser Construction, and Lori Ann's Thrift Decor. We continue to offer assistance for entrepreneurs that required assistance. We finished the Grow Nebraska Business Blueprint Series course, which was 5 weeks long, and aimed to help new business owners understand the Nebraska Small Business Assistance Act. And we held our 5-week Social Media 101 course that I'll talk more about during our marketing section. We made a lot of progress on our E3 grant, that's the Equitable Economic Ecosystem Pilot Program through Main Street America. We completed 4 of the 5 workshops during this quarter. The first was with our downtown business owners, asking where they found resources to begin, grow, retire, or close their business. The remainder of those workshops were with the Chamber Tourism and Engage to recognize who does what in our community and how we can all work together to uplift our business community and help them prosper at any part of their entrepreneurship journey. More information will be coming out in a report in a few weeks to a few months, depending on how the national program moves forward. That will have more information on our community, where our strengths are, where we could use some improvement, and some different, I lost my words. Recommendations, some recommendations coming up. One of the things they've been really talking about with us that Rachel and Angie and I from the Chamber and Engage all really liked was having a singular document or web page with those different resources like financing, who does different construction, who does networking, all in one place that we all have access to that can be updated regularly. That way, any entrepreneur that comes to any of us for assistance, no matter where they are in the county, downtown, in Beatrice in general, all get the same information. So no matter who they call, they're getting help and they're getting the same level of help from every organization. And I think that's beneficial for all of us. In our marketing strategy, like I said before, we finished that business blueprint series, and we held our 5-week social media 101 course. That was a huge success. We expected a small success on just trying a new program out. We partnered with the Chamber of Commerce to use their space because they're a little bit more technologically advanced in their meeting space than we are. And so we were able to offer this to the community as a whole. So because we partnered with the Chamber, we had 30 different business owners or organization leaders sign up to take part in this course. That included downtown entrepreneurs, nonprofit organization leaders, the City of Beatrice, the hospital, and more. We took deep dives into Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, and photography, all things business owners have requested from us previously. And with working through those, we were able to hear from our business leaders what other courses they'd like to have. And so we are already working on our second round of courses that go even further and explore new territory. As part of our marketing strategy, we also began airing radio ads on Quibi and KUTT using our BAT tagline and encouraging locals to shop downtown. So that's it on the things you asked me to report on. And now's the extra fun stuff that we've been doing. If you believe we still had more time, we were not in the office very often. We had begun our Old Neighborhoods Club, which is a way to take retired and closed business owners that were downtown and bring them in and bring them together to start working on a mentorship program for our downtown entrepreneurs. We also held our third Beatrice Beer and Wine Festival. That's the updated Taste of Spring event that brings breweries, wineries, and distilleries to Charles Park. We had a growth of about 100 people, so we had 300 people at this event. We had 9 beer vendors, 2 wine vendors, including Tall Tree Tastings and Stone Hollow Brewing, plus other vendors. We also had Rib Fest as part of Homestead Days. We had about 1,800 people attend that event, which we believe is, if not the most, tied with the most we had. It was a hot day, but we had 5 barbecue vendors, pie, lemonade, funnel cakes, and 2 really fantastic bands. I also attended our Main Street National Conference in Birmingham, Alabama. We opened our farmers market that'll continue through mid-October. And then working with the Nebraska Arts Council, we got our downtown murals all registered on the brand new Nebraska Creative Districts Public Art Database. Because of our relationship with the Nebraska Arts Council, we were able to pilot that program and get our pieces all up for free. So all of our murals are now registered on there. And if you hadn't heard already, the Nebraska Arts Council will be holding their annual state conference here in downtown Beatrice the first week of September. And I'll just plug myself here real quick. I was notified this afternoon from the Nebraska Arts Council that I will be presented with a BITSE award at the state conference for my work behind the scenes, getting the arts and arts education out in Nebraska. And I feel very proud about that. And then coming up, we will have 2 brand new events, the Taste of Downtown, which is similar to Chocolate Lovers, and a brand new Fall Family Festival that will get families downtown and out having a good time. And then, of course, our fall favorite, Night of the Great Pumpkin. That's all coming up. Any questions?
Sounds like you've been really busy.
We sure have.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your work.
Thank you so much.
Can I do one comment? Since it's been 3 months since you were here or whatever, I'm sure we all want to congratulate you and your staff and your board on being one of the 800 accredited programs in the United States. That is a big deal. I know Mike, it was a big deal to Mike. I know it's a very, very big deal to you, and we really haven't had a chance to congratulate you on that. And I know you did all that stuff with short staff, so everybody can appreciate the hours that you had to put in and your staff while they were here. So congratulations on that. You
Thanks
guys,
so much.
it's well deserved.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next report will be the Engage Quarterly Report.
And part of Sunday.
Oops, sorry. Right there.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Evening. Okay, I have Herb Reeby here with me. He is with Neabco. So I'm going to let him take the spotlight and talk to you guys a little bit about what they do there. And I'm sure he'll take questions at the end. So.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for the invitation. So, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for being here.
So, a little bit of history, and maybe it's a refresher. Neabco established here in Beatrice back in 1981. We're occupying about 270,000 square feet over there at the industrial complex. We currently have 220 people who earn a living at that facility right now on a daily basis. We specialize in what I simplify as saying turning metal. So we have an awful lot of CNC equipment we use to make metal products. We also do another one of our core competencies is heat treating there in the facility. Our customer base is a pretty diverse one, primarily focused in the automotive markets as well as agriculture. I can share with you that we routinely evaluate new opportunities in those markets and others for what our skill set can provide for the business there. I asked Rachel, I said, what do I prepare for, and what would the council like to hear about? And she gave me some advice. And so one of the things I just wanted to step into for a second was, and it was a question I asked some of the other leadership in the plant, was talk about our relationship with the city. And I thought the easiest way to say it is we like our relationship with the city. We're glad to be here. Some of the team said, yep, I have my contacts in the city are really resourceful and helpful. And when we're in a time of need and we reach out to the city services that we work with, they've been available to us. So simply put, Neabco likes to be in Beatrice. And so with that, over the years, again, 43 years now in the city, multiple millions of dollars in investment we've made on the property. And I think when we finished counting, it was over 200 different organizations and groups over the years we have donated to that are here in Beatrice, and then I'll just increase that footprint a little bit to Gage County. So that is something that's also very important to us. When we look at the business, I think about our infrastructure, and then there's the two areas that I think about that I want to share with you. So first, on the hard side, we look at our facility and we look at the community, and as I said, we're happy with our relationship with the community here, and there's nothing I come here to ask of you. Of ourselves, from a hard perspective, we have a punch list there in the industrial complex. So things on our punch list is it'd be nice to bury all the electrical and telecom wires in the complex to minimize the risk of ice and wind taking those down. Last year we cemented the north side of our parking lot. I have the south side, which is still a dirt lot on my list of things to do. The flagpole, I'm not a fan of where I have that located. So through a landscaping project that we're looking at, there's some improvements and some beautification that I wish to do on the north side of the property here in the next year or so. So that's like the hard side. On the soft side, we spend a lot of time talking with Rachel and the Engage team. Also Southeastern Community College, the administrative group there in Lincoln, as well as down here. We recently went and toured the new welding center that was put up, and then talked with the recruiting team down there about the population in the city and how we employ them and attract them to work with us. One of our challenges on the south side, and I think it's one I share with you, we both have a desire to grow our business in Beatrice. And we'll do that with people. There's no other way. I can tell you, we routinely look at business that we bring in, parts, part product portfolios, things like that. And not only, we think about the skill sets we have, and we think about the machinery, but then we also think about the people, the availability of people to be able to come to town to produce product on a regular basis. So one of the things I'm concerned about that I think maybe you share is, if I talk about the ratio or some of the demographics in our facility, we have school starting here in the next week, and the majority of the employees in our building are not sending their kids to school. They're not worried about first day, but they are interested in the grandchildren, because we have a lot of employees whose grandchildren will be starting school here in the next week. So that lends a little bit into the demographic of our facility. I think our head count of our 220 people on site is, I think, under 15 of them are under the age of 30. So that is, from a growth perspective, a ratio that we know we need to make improvements on. And, as I said, with Rachel, with SE, Community College, we hope to work on those things so that we can increase the demographic on the lower end of the age range. So that is my opening comments that I wanted to share. I wanted to make sure I touched on a few things there for you. Is there any questions? Anything? Yes.
Yeah, how many other plants or warehouses are, and where are they located at? How many you have, and things like that?
Sure. So the location here in Beatrice is part of the Components Group, and at the moment we have another warehouse in Greer, South Carolina. If I take a step back to our holdings group, Neapco, which is based in Farmington Hills, Michigan, we then have manufacturing plants in Belleville, Saltillo, Mexico, Pruszka, Poland, Durham, Germany, and a new facility in Turkey and another one in China.
Wow.
You mentioned the ratio of the young kids to the older folks.
Yep.
I don't know if you were catching, but we are aware of that problem we have too, and a lot of it is we've figured that it's housing here in town, and as you can see, we're trying just to alleviate your concern. We are trying to get some more housing in this town, as you saw, and hopefully, if we can get this done, we'll start getting some of these young kids to stay, and because they just don't have houses to live in. So that's good for you guys and good for us too. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you can tell the demographic kind of matches us. We have almost everybody here's retired except. So we kind of matched your demographic that you work, and I picked up and delivered to you guys for 30 years. So I saw your employees age, because you have a ton of long-term employees, which brings me to my question. So do you have a hard time replacing them as they retire?
Do we have a hard time?
Replacing your employees as they retire?
Yeah. There's a couple paths I'll go down to answer that.
Okay.
So.
Because I have another question after it, so.
Sure.
Okay.
So we were a facility that had maybe 370 attendees in 2016, and through some automation and some attrition over the years, that head count reduced, and it did not get backfilled. And then COVID hit, and I think everybody's familiar what COVID did in the workplace, and drove a little more retirement and a little more turnover that we didn't recover from for about 2 years. So 20, 21, 22, very hard years for us in that facility to maintain our customer base by having enough people available for us. So we really struggled then. Since then, understanding that challenge and the skill sets that we look for, we have also looked at automation and what other ways through process we can make up for any lack of labor that was available to us. So there are more robotic workstations in our facility, and we hope that will then attract maybe a population of a workforce that wouldn't be interested to run equipment like their family did, like their grandmothers and grandfathers did in that facility, but instead would be more interested in the challenge and the opportunity that comes with robotics.
Yeah, I just assumed that you're like any other industry, you're doing more with less, and I did a lot of that after COVID. But is your facility something that requires a degree from SCC, or is it something that anybody can hire on and you teach in plant?
Yes. So a lot of the positions in
Both.
the building would not require a degree. We have a lot of entry-level roles that people can come into. We have tuition assistant programs, and as I mentioned earlier, with SE Community College, we've talked about unique programs for blueprint reading, learning how to use gauges and micrometers to then help build up that experience for that individual to then move into higher roles in the business. So we do have, some salary positions. You can make safe assumptions with some of the engineering roles. That we have a lot of our employees were students at University of Lincoln. But for the majority of the opportunities in our building, you will not need a college degree.
Okay.
To piggyback on what Ted asked you, do you guys go to the senior high schools for career days or anything like? Well, when I was years ago, they used to bring businesses and stuff in.
Yes, and that still actively happens. Engage actually partners with BPS to do that. We do an on-site career fair and have over 30 businesses that participate that, and that's growing. But more so for Herb and all of the other manufacturing companies located in the industrial park, we have manufacturing day where we actually immerse the students in those plants and show them physically what happens in there.
That's what I was going to ask next.
Yeah, because a lot of it we've found is debunking what perception is. And you look at Randy's expansion and you look at what Neapco has in there, it is night and day compared to what kids think or, what their grandparents worked in prior to.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think we did two sessions this year, and I think we had about 120 different students come through out of Beatrice here and also the neighboring communities.
Well, just, there are some kids that just don't want to go to a 4-year or 2-year con. They want a job when they get out of high school, and that's good that you go there.
Yep, absolutely.
Try to recruit them there too.
So, Herb, thanks for coming tonight. As somebody who worked at Neapco for 23 years, one of the biggest challenges that we've ever had out there was the age of the workforce. And I think when I left there 2.5 years ago, it was about 60% over 50. Is that still pretty close?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, you hear about us talking about the housing that we're trying to put in place at the school sites. That's got to be exciting for you guys. I'll still say it's the #1 factory to work at in Beatrice. So I'll give you that prop. The robotics was coming in. I worked there in 2016, obviously, when the stuff started, worked through COVID. We hope that the housing attracts the young adults that you need to come in there and help the stuff. I don't know if Jerry Coster still works up in Farmington Hills or not, but that was always his drawback from expanding out here in Beatrice. And hopefully that word gets out that these plants do want to expand and people do come here for that. So good luck.
Thank you.
When I found out you were going to come tonight, it was almost nostalgic for me because I had Tobias's job back when you came to town, and I can still remember Larry McKee that was mayor then, and he and I sitting down, and supposedly we were negotiating against Buffalo, New York. If that's what the hell they told us anyway. So I don't know, but I can remember all those months of work, and And what we ended up giving assistance in at that time had some critique from people in town, but now looking back 43 years, I think that was $1 pretty well spent. I really do. Thank you for being a partner in our community. That's the main reason we wanted you to come down here, is to thank you for being a partner in our community. We just don't, there's no way really we can give you enough accolades or exposure other than maybe something like this. So it was just a thought to be able to give you a chance to talk and tell us a little bit more about NEAPCO. But thank you is the main thing we wanted to get across to you. So thanks.
Great. I appreciate that. And let me also share, we budget monies to support different activities here in the city through the year. But we also have people engaged in many other organizations here. And for what we don't support in monies, we will support in time. So I encourage anyone who has a good cause here in the city that needs some time and some volunteers to please reach out to us.
Can we tape record that? Play that back a few times?
I'm pretty sure.
Well, thank you very much. And, I just know from a personal experience of a very gentleman that I know that works for you that has done very well, who was a friend of my son's that graduated, and you helped him get through associate degree. You helped him get through a bachelor's degree, and I think he's really a good employee for you. So I think that also just shows the soft side of the company of NEAPCO, helping their employees be a success. And I'm very proud of what Corey has done, and I know that he has really done a very good job because he had the support of NEAPCO. So I think that's a very important part of the soft side that I want to thank you personally for.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So, all right, thank you.
Great.
Now you're stuck with me, guys. Okay, so just to kind of build off a little bit of what Herb talked about here and some of the continued work that Engage is doing over the last quarter. So we're reporting on Q4 of the last fiscal year. So some things that have happened over the last quarter is we have kind of added and subtracted a little bit in our staffing ratios. We are no stranger to retention issues as well. We did welcome Callie Smith to the Engage team. She started as a part-timer in April, so it's been a few months. But since then, we have also lost our full-time marketing coordinator. She took another position, so we're sad to see Megan go, but very excited for her and her future opportunities. But excited, Callie has hit the ground running and really has not slowed down since. She was born and raised here in Beatrice, so her background and knowledge of the community is going to be a great asset to our team. Obviously, we're continuing to work on workforce development issues, partnering with our businesses to help meet their needs and solve those stress points, which we know is workforce itself. I did attend the regional 6 Regions 1 Nebraska economic development strategic planning session. That was a really big thing, where it brought all of southeast Nebraska. It was based off of SCC's service area. So there were 15 counties that participated in this, and Herb and one of his staff members participated in that event as well. But what we got to do is we got to sit down and talk about some economic development strategies that we felt were regionally appropriate. So not just what's good for Gage County, but what's good for everyone around us. Obviously, workforce development, housing, childcare, all of those things came up in those conversations. But something that we also got to look at was some data behind really each county and the region as a whole: education, childcare, housing, infrastructure, you name it. We looked at that data. Something that really struck me that day is 22% of our population, and I can't remember if it was Gage County specifically or if I was looking directly at the community of Beatrice. 22% had only completed some form of college education. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I believe everybody needs to have a college education to get a good job. I, in fact, do not believe that. I think people can get good jobs and get an education that's necessary along the way. So that is also one of the driving factors in why we are working so hard with industry and businesses here in Beatrice and Gage County as a whole to really assess what are our educational partners doing that meet those business and industry needs. So we've been working with NEAPCO and Randy at Precise Fab and all of the other businesses, those that want to participate, to look at what educational opportunities are here and how can we maximize those. So we take a look at the welding facility being built out or is completed out on the SCC Beatrice campus. How can we leverage that to really build those talent pipelines moving forward? We're talking with SCC about micro credentials. So that's giving people more entry and exit points to get different education and pair that together to get the job that they need or want, or to figure out what is needed to fit into a business right here, where students that are juniors or seniors in high school can start to stack those credentials and they can walk out of that door at 3:30 in the afternoon and they could get a job right here in our industrial park. And they can continue to stair step and up those credentials from there. So that's really kind of what we're working to do, is if we can kind of figure out how to attract these young adults and really the future of our communities into these businesses and help grow them from there, we'll be able to retain them here long term. Of course, we are continuing, we've been doing a lot of site planning and site development activities, marketing a lot of different sites and buildings. We have, it seems to ebb and flow as the year goes on. We get lots of calls from businesses looking to potentially site here, looking for information on vacant land, those types of things. So we've had a lot of calls, a lot of folks that, local folks even that are interested in starting up businesses. So we've been partnering with Morgan and Angie as well to really meet and provide those wraparound services so that they know exactly what they need to do to start up a business here in Beatrice. And of course, childcare is always at the top of the list too. It's a hot button topic. One thing that Engage has been working on quite diligently is it's been some time ago, probably 3 to 5 months ago now, that the Engage board voted to develop a nonprofit to really spearhead this initiative moving forward. Engage will still have a large seat at the table, but the new nonprofit is finally up and running. We have a board already gathered and working towards putting together sustainable solutions moving forward. The new nonprofit is called the Gage County Child Care Collaborative. We have 7 other individuals aside from myself that sit on that board. And we are actively looking at ways to create sustainability long-term. Engage over the last few years has really worked in the capacity building realm of childcare. How do we reduce the amount of spots that we do not have available or increase the spots that we need? Now we're kind of shifting gears because we're seeing that there's a stark difference in the price of childcare versus the cost of childcare, right? We know that minimum wage was voted to go up to $15 by 2026. That is already drastically impacting the childcare industry because they cannot afford to pay their workers without raising that minimum cost for childcare. Families can already not afford that cost. So we're trying to figure out how do we bridge that gap between the true cost and the price. So we are, the Gage County Child Care Collaborative has submitted to be part of the Big Give event for Big Give Gage. So we're going to raise some money to help offset some of those costs, kind of a sustainability fund where it could be tuition assistance for families to bridge that gap, those types of things. But really this is just kind of a stepping stone project to get things going, and there are going to be grants funneling down, so Engage is in the process of shifting some of the funding that we have received through the state to push out to local child care providers. That will all now be funneled through this nonprofit. So no shortage of activities happening, but large increase in calls to bring businesses here, start up local businesses. So the entrepreneurship piece, like what Morgan talked about, is definitely something that we are actively working on. So I'll leave it at that and take questions.
I have one question.
Yes.
So, as you work with SCC, do they have someone that is based out of this Beatrice campus that is helping to assist you, or does that have to come out of Lincoln?
That's twofold. Pretty much everybody right now is coming out of Lincoln or Milford. Yes.
All right? Disappointing, but okay.
We're working towards that.
All right, thank you.
They do have a full-time faculty now for that building, so
Perfect.
that's exciting.
All right.
One comment. All I'd ask as your rep on that board is please keep an open mind, because hopefully this new nonprofit can help work through this. And I think most people on the Engage board believe it should be some kind of partnership, because there's not enough money, period. Hopefully we can do some kind of cooperative thing between Engage, city, county, and business and industry, and see some way that we can put this together. So I don't know if that's some kind of subsidy that we don't get tied into forever, because the city can't do everything. Or if it's a building we can help them with at some point in time or something. Just all I ask is please keep an open mind. If you have any ideas with it, get them to me or get them to her. Because it's a problem. We're almost tired of hearing about it, I think, because it's a problem, but it has to be resolved, and we can be a leader in the state if we want to be a leader in the state there. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that ends the discussion and reports. Actually, we do have an executive session tonight to discuss real estate. So, Mr. McLean, would you take us into executive
I
session?
move the Beatrice City Council go into closed session at 8:27 PM for the protection of public interest to discuss real estate.
Second.
And your vote, please. And it passes 8-0.